your girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time. Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey, please hit that follow and subscribe button. And if you are listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever podcast platform you utilize, please hit that subscribe button so we can continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm bringing you today, talking with Josh Cambell of the band Dark Below. What's going on, man?
Hey, not a lot, man. How you doing?
Good. So usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to get a background on them. So do you remember originally what did you want to be when you grew up?
Originally, I wanted to be an NFL quarterback, but that dream died pretty quickly. So music was the next logical step for me.
Nice. And then do you remember like what was that kind of attracted you to music, and like what was some of your early listens?
It was definitely heavily influenced by my dad. He was a rocker for sure, and he raised me on rock early on. I can remember like one of the first CDs we had as a family was Collective Soul, the Blue record. I think it was just self-titled. One that had like December and The World I Know, like that one. I was also really into Green Day and The Offspring and more punk stuff when I was younger. So that's kind of what got it started for me, though.
Nice. And then when was it that you got into like, singing and performing yourself?
So I got into singing after I had kind of started this band with the original guys, which one of them is still in the band, but I never really wanted to sing. I was just a guitar player, and that's what I wanted to do, but we just could not find anyone. And it got to the point where they're like, dude, I don't know if this is ever going to happen, so why don't you just sing? And that's how it happened for me.
Nice. So trial by fire.
Yeah.
And then what was it that originally attracted you to guitar?
I don't know. I always loved music just from the time I was a kid, just because it was something that, it was something for my dad and I that we always did together, just listen to music a lot. And he always encouraged me to, to take things as far as I could. And I had an interest in music, and I wanted to play guitar. So my 11th birthday, I got a guitar, and he got me some lessons, and off I went.
Nice. And then, so as you got older, then when did you it go from like a hobby that you were practicing to like playing with friends?
When I was in college, I had a couple buddies I went to school with that I'd also gone to high school with, and they played a little bit. So we would, sit around and jam in our dorms and stuff. But it was my freshman year in college when I saw Cambell play for the first time. That was when I was like, okay, I really want to start a band because this is awesome.
Nice. And then, did you attend local shows in your hometown growing up?
Well, my hometown's about 600 people, so we didn't really have any shows going on, but I didn't really go to a lot of concerts growing up. The first one I ever went to as a kid was Linkin Park in like 2001. And then I didn't go to another concert for, it was like another 6 years. I saw like Poison or something. And then right after that, Cambell. And it was the Cambell concert that was like, all right, I got to do this, man.
And then what was, so we got to give a shout out now. Where's the hometown that?
So my hometown is Perry, Missouri. It's very small. If anyone knows it, they probably know the Mark Twain Lake. A lot of people come here to go out on the lake, and it's near that.
And then like the nearest city that you would go see the concerts at?
Columbia, which is where we're kind of out of as a band, is really kind of like the closest like bigger city that has many bigger names come through. Hannibal has a few. I've never really seen a concert there, but that's another place that people might have heard of because of like Mark Twain and Tom Sawyer and all that crap.
And then so like, you know, when did you have any bands before Dark Below came together, and when did you first start playing with, you said college?
Yeah, no, Dark Below was the first thing for me. I just in college I made a Craigslist post just looking for people, and that's how we got started.
Yeah, I read that, man. For people that don't remember Craigslist, when it used to be used for good.
Yeah, yeah, you could get anything on Craigslist from what I recall.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that then. You know, you wanted to start a band and you were looking for people and you just kind of put an ad out there, or how'd that process work out?
Yeah, pretty much. I just put an ad out there and I said, man, I'm looking for people that want to play hard rock. Like, I'm not that great, so I don't expect you to be that great, but I want to start a band kind of, in this, this style of music, and did not get many responses, but one of them that I did get was Brett, who was our original drummer, and we started in his dad's basement.
Nice. And then what was the influence behind the name Dark Below?
So originally we were called Down Phase, and it was just some idea I came up with. It didn't really mean anything. I just thought, I don't know, it sounds kind of cool. But when we started working with our producer Malcolm Springer for the first time, he has flat out told me, like, he's this like Southern Missouri boot heel guy, so he's got a real strong accent, and he was just like, man, the name sucks. You got to come up with something better. So he had made a comment to me at one point. He's like, you write some really dark stuff, but you just don't really look like that kind of guy. So that's kind of where Dark Below came from.
So it's like you got some darkness below the surface, basically, yeah?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then, yeah, so you're, how did you connect then with that gentleman to start recording with him or working with him?
So our other producer, Jason Schrick, who is also our manager now, he had started a company called JPS Productions, and we knew him because he was the first guy that ever booked a show for us. Like he was a manager of a venue in Columbia, and he gave us our first show. So we started a relationship with him, and then we started working with JPS Productions once he got that going. And he knew Malcolm because he had been in a band that had worked with him years ago. And that's kind of, for a long time now, it's just been kind of both of those guys that produce our stuff. Gotcha.
And then when did things like start? Obviously, you caught their attention. Like, when did it talk about the process, because like usually bands, they start themselves. You started in your friend's basement, you started getting out, making a name for yourself. How did you catch these people's eye, or did they start helping you book the bigger shows?
Yeah, I mean, it was really, it's a lot comes from JPS Productions, Jason's people. And I mean, they do our booking for us, but we just kind of played around Columbia a lot there for years, and then just started getting out more and more. But I mean, really for us, we don't feel like we got much exposure until last year when we released the first single off the new stuff that we did, Tense. So we spent a lot of time just kind of playing in just kind of this area more than anything. And now that we've got, a really awesome team of people, and we got some songs we're really proud of, we're starting to get out there more, and just coming up, we're looking to play as many shows as we can and get out to as many places as we can.
Nice. Well, yeah, and then you guys caught the attention of Ed Bunker. He's who reached out to me for this interview. He's somebody I've worked with a lot of bands, so that's good. He's good people to have on your team.
Definitely.
But let's talk a little bit about, the the recording, or which was the single from Tense that kind of like really blew the door open for you guys?
Well, I mean, Tense was the one that was the first single we did off of our newer stuff, and that was the first single that we ever really like pushed to national radio. We worked with a guy named Eric Baker to do the radio stuff, who is the guy who introduced us to Ed Bunker. Yeah, as far as recording that and everything, that was the last song we did when we were working on our new stuff, and we had a lot of people listen to them, and that was not really the one that we thought would be like the first single, but Ed and Eric and a lot of different people heard it, and they were like, man, we think Tense, that should be your first one.
Oh, okay, so that's the single. I thought that was the name of the EP or whatever.
Oh, no, that's just the name of the first song we released.
Oh, okay. And then do you have a full album yet, or?
So when we originally started working on this, we were just going to do like a 4 or 5 song EP. And then we got down to Nashville and started working, and we were just really putting out stuff that we really liked and just going really well. So we said, we might as well just do a full length record. But once we kind of got the songs finished and we talked to, Ed and Eric and some of those people, it kind of became apparent for us that the best strategy for right now, just as an independent band, was to release singles instead of doing the full length record, because once you release the full length record, everything is just out there. But if we release them a single at a time, then we kind of have stuff we can hold back. But our plan is to probably release a few more singles, and then once we've gotten through that, we'll release a full length record later.
Gotcha. And then, well, let's talk a little bit about your latest single, Make Believe, and what's like the message behind that song.
That song's about imagination. I grew up, I'm an only child, so when I was a kid, I spent a lot of time alone. And when you're alone, you develop, I think, pretty, you become pretty imaginative. At least I did. And it's just a song about the power of imagination, really, because, it's obviously a very powerful tool that allows you to write songs and create art and, do anything, really. It begins with that. But at the same time, your imagination can also get away with you and get you in trouble, as I've learned.
Yeah, it could go to the dark below, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like that message, because it seems like we're living in a world today that's become so artificial, that kids today don't even get to use their imagination. It's like you're told what to think, from birth almost. And yeah, just like the things you could get away with, the things we could do without, because we just had our imagination. You could pick up a stick and it could be Darth Vader or something, and
yeah, dude, that's
more content.
Yeah. I grew up like as a kid in the 90s, and I can't imagine being a kid living to like growing up today. If I grew up with all this technology, like cell phones and social media and all that stuff, I can't imagine it.
Yeah, me neither, man. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so it's just like, yeah, it's scary, man. And I got kids, so it's like I try and get them like unplugged from the Matrix and get out there and try and enjoy the real world, a little bit, but, it definitely imagination and, the land of make believe or whatever is, something lacking. I mean, look at Hollywood. They just keep rebooting, nothing new is coming out anymore, it seems. And
yeah.
But hopefully people get that message from your song and, get back out to nature and unplug once in a while.
I hope so, man.
And then, so you guys mostly played your area. When you're, releasing these songs, like what's one of your favorites to perform live, or what's one of your tracks that gets, a good crowd response?
Oh man, my favorite one to play is we got a newer song. We haven't released it yet, but it's called Self-Inflicted. It's a little different than some of our other stuff. It's not, I mean, it's still got heavy guitars and everything. Like, it's a hard rock song, but it's one that people who probably aren't even into hard rock, I feel like they would hear it and they might like it, because it's kind of a little poppier than the other ones, but it's just a higher energy, and it's just a really fun song to play live.
Nice. And then, Going back, I was going down like the rabbit hole on YouTube a little bit and checking out some of your other songs that you've released and reading about some of your other tracks. I'm curious about the song "Hate Being Human." What's like the inspiration behind that one?
So originally, when we were working on that one, that was a song that I'd had an idea for years and just could never really figure out what to do with it. But I had the idea for a song called "Hate My Skin," and then it's just a song kind of being just dissatisfied with the human race, I guess, and some of the things we do. And then when we were in the studio, it was actually our producer Jason. He was like, "Man, what if we added a tagline on the end of "Hate Being Human"?" And that was when it was like, oh man, that's pretty slick. So it is a song. Like I don't literally hate being human. I'm blessed, man. I've got it pretty good, so I can't complain. But there's just things that you see people do, we do to one another, and it's just like, my God, man. It's basically just about that.
You're preaching to the choir, man. It's like I see it every day. Like I said, I've got 2 kids I'm trying to raise in this world, and the things that I did some time in the military, and it's just like we got first world problems over here, but people still find things to fight about and bitch about over here. Nothing's good enough, and it's just like, man, we're so far away from gratitude, and like you said, realizing how blessed we are.
It's true, man. I think we got it pretty good over here, and we maybe take that for granted sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Now, so that's the latest single was Make Believe, and that's the one you guys are kind of pushing right now. What future plans do you have for the band?
Just right now, it's just supporting this current single and then playing as many shows as we can. We hope to release, I think, at least a couple more singles, but for us, like the rest of the year, we're just trying to get out and play as much as possible. So we got some people working on stuff to try to get us to some radio stations and places that are playing us a lot, and just play as much as we can, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, have you had many opportunities to get outside of your local zone there and play?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have over the years. I mean, we've gone to other states. We in March we went on a run with Scotty Austin. We went to Denver, Wichita, Oklahoma, and then we ended up in Dallas. It was just a 4-day short run, but I mean, we've done stuff like that in the past, but we're really hoping to, just get out to as many places as we can coming up.
Great. And then, any kind of like goals you have set for yourself going forward?
Oh man, I would love to be able to get on like a legit tour with, some bigger names or something. There's a lot of bands that I'd love to play with, but I mean, we've talked amongst ourselves in the band, like we would love so much to get on tour with a band like Cambell or 10 Years, somebody like that we're huge fans of. But just right now, like I said, we just want to play shows. So we're just working on that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, man, get you guys on something with Cambell. I think I'm going to see 10 Years this weekend, actually, at Incarceration Festival.
Have you seen them before?
Mansfield. No, I haven't. So I put it on the bill, though.
I haven't seen them in years, but they're definitely up there as far as like live bands for me. They're badass. I mean, and he sounds like just spot on vocally. They're impressive.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be at the Danny Wimmer Incarceration Festival. They're on the bill. I believe they're playing Friday, so I'll have to check them out. And if I run into anybody, I tell them Josh gave his stamp of approval from Dark Below and get him on.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be like, "Who the hell is that guy?"
But I want to ask you a couple of questions that I normally ask guests I have on here. So who are your top 3 musical artists?
I would say Cambell and 10 Years are probably my top 2. Top 3, man. I mean, there's a lot of them, man. I love a lot of different bands. I love Breaking Benjamin. They've been, a big influence on me over the years. I don't know. I'm gonna throw out a weird one. I'm gonna say Huey Lewis and the News. I love Huey Lewis in the News.
Nice. Yeah. Big fan of Huey Lewis in the News, especially
Dude,
after watching American Psycho. You know,
That is where it started for me. I've told this before, but my best friend Coleman, he's seen that movie 100 times like me. And that scene, you know, where he goes on about sports, and he's like, "Oh, well, when sports came out in '83, my buddy, he has that whole thing memorized." And one time, he just showed up at my house. He lives in Seattle. He just like flew back to Missouri and showed up at my house and pulls up in my driveway, and gets out of his car with the sports CD and just like gives me that whole spiel. And then we're like, all right, well, we should listen to this. And it's like, oh my God, it really does kick ass. And that's how I became such a big fan. Like that whole record is awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember seeing "I Want a New Drug" on MTV, and that kind of like got me.
Yeah.
And then growing up watching Back to the Future and The Power of Love and all that, I was like, all right, yeah, Huey's, man, he don't get enough props. So I'm glad you're giving him some.
Yeah, great man.
And then what's like the last book you read?
So right now I'm in the middle of reading through the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. This would be like the third time I've done it probably. If you don't know, it's just like a whole like saga. It's like 7 books long. It's very long. They made a movie kind of based on it years ago, and it was a complete piece of crap. It's nothing like the stories. So if you've seen that, don't let that affect your opinion of the books. But yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. I've read a lot of Stephen King.
That seems to happen a lot to Stephen King books. You know, people make movies and Stephen gets pissed when they take their own, you know, way on things. And then what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
Mandatory class. I think some sort of like financial responsibility, teach you how to manage your finances, at like write a check and stuff. So I mean, I'm sure at some schools they probably offer something like that. They might have offered it in my school. I definitely didn't take it, but I think that should be something that is required because I mean, when I got out of school, I had no idea how to manage money, or I think I could probably write a check, but I think that I think that would be good for everyone.
Yeah, agreed. And then if you could send a message back to your 12-year-old self, what would it be?
Man, my 12-year-old self, like all that time you're gonna waste playing video games, take like half of that and dedicate that to like playing guitar, or maybe get started singing at 12 instead of just like 21 or whatever I was when we started the band.
Nice. And then who are 3 people who've inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Well, I'd have to say my parents for sure. My dad was, the biggest influence on me musically because he, got me started with introducing me to all of it. My mom, she's not, she's not really a musical person. I would say she doesn't, she's not into it like my dad, but she's just always supported me every way she can forever. And I appreciate that. And man, if there's one other one, I would say it's a guy named Bill Coolman, who I used to work for. He's actually a professional race car driver. You could look him up. He was a pretty big deal in his day. But I worked for him for a while when I was in high school. And he's just he's a kind of guy that has a different perspective on life than most people. He just sees things differently. And he had a way of just breaking things down into the simplest terms. And that's just something I've always carried with me, and I'll never forget. He was a big influence on me.
Nice. I love hearing that. When I ask that question, there's like always somebody that just a reminder that no matter what position or whatever you hold in life, you always have an opportunity to be a positive influence on somebody. Make a difference in their life. And I love hearing when, like teachers or former bosses or stuff like that, get mentioned in these, when I ask these questions, because, don't matter what you do, man. You could be the guy that bags groceries, man, and you could just the way you do it every day, might be something that impresses somebody or whatever. I don't know, I don't know. Just how you treat people,
Yeah, dude. It's funny you say that. I'll never forget when I was in college at my friends, the dorm they lived in, like the cafeteria. There was a guy there who was always there every day. He cooked burgers, and he was the happiest guy I've ever seen in my life, and I'll never forget him. Like, he was doing a job that most people would hate and would say this sucks, but that dude every day, the most positive attitude, the nicest guy, and I've always remembered that guy. He was doing all right.
Yeah, man, that was maybe what his purpose was, man. And he was happy. It's like it's kind of like going back to that make believe. It's wherever our mind. What do we want to strengthen in our mind? Is it a positive attitude? I've noticed ever since I started being more grateful and trying to reflect on having more of a positive attitude, more positive things seem to come my way, So,
yeah, man.
I try and teach my kids that all the time. And then speaking of make believe and childhood and stuff, what was your favorite toy as a child?
Probably my Nintendo. When I got started playing video games, it would have been like probably like 94 or something like that. When I was like 5, I was pretty into Super Mario and stuff like that.
Gotcha. And then, are you a wrestling fan by any chance?
No, not really, but like some of my friends are really into it, and I get to hear them like losing their minds over it sometimes if we're like in a video game chat and they're watching that stuff. But aside from that, and like the many memes I see with like Ed McMahon and stuff, I'm not that familiar with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes I ask it's one of the questions I'll sometimes throw out. I got a little Rolodex here. And then, because I'm a big wrestling fan, I grew up, and then I'll start a whole nother conversation. And then any message that you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Oh man, well, we just really appreciate what you guys do for us. Obviously, we don't get to do what we're doing over here without the people that are, willing to go over there and risk everything for our freedom. A guy that honestly I probably should have listed as one of my biggest influences, if I had another one, my buddy Brogan that I met when I went to junior high. He was the guy that really got me into hard rock, because I was more into like punk and stuff when I was younger, and then I met him and he started showing me the heavy stuff. Like, I can remember he introduced me to Breaking Benjamin, and he did like 3 tours of duty over in the Middle East, and that's a guy that's been through some stuff, and wish I'd have mentioned him too. But anyway, appreciate him. Yeah, appreciate him and everybody that makes a sacrifice for the rest of us. It means a lot.
Awesome. Well, Josh, man, I appreciate your time, man, today. It was good talking to you and hearing what you guys got going on. Now, for any fans that are hearing about you for the first time and are curious to follow and support and want to know more, where would you send them?
I'd say check out our Facebook page. We got, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, but Facebook's kind of like our main hub. So if you want to check us out there, we got whatever you could need information wise. And if you guys feel like reaching out, please do. We'd love to hear from all of you.
Nice. And hopefully when you guys start getting those shows out more, you come up to the Cleveland, Ohio area, I'll come check you out. I'll hit that up.
Oh, hell yeah. Hey, you're not an Ohio State fan, are you?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've been a diehard Ohio State fan since I was a little kid.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the football team.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not really like the biggest fan of football, which is funny living in Cleveland, but at the same time, it's probably understandable living in Cleveland. But I guess if I was supporting an Ohio team that doesn't let me down as much, it'd be Ohio State for sure.
Yeah, man, the poor Browns. It's been a rough run.
Yeah, it has, man. And I just was like, I that's why I turned to pro wrestling. I was like, at least eventually my guy's gonna win. But Josh, man, I appreciate your time, dude. It was good talking with you. If I could ask one last favor before I let you go, you mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Hey, this is Josh from Dark Below, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Awesome. Josh, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate your time, and good luck with everything, man. Hope to see you guys come through Cleveland.
Hell yeah, man. Me too. Thank you so much for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
You too,
Bye.
man.